It was my last day street food touring through Hanoi, Vietnam on a pleasant Saturday. We arrived at our destination, which was a restaurant that served bún cha, a set consisting of grilled pork and radish pickles floating in a sweet broth that is eaten with cold vermicelli on the side, as well as crispy, greasy spring rolls, where the broth would also serve as a sauce. The restaurant sat on a corner of the street in a busy part of the old quarter, where wide-eyed tourists were streaming down with fresh, new back and fanny packs. The restaurant was so popular with the tourists and locals that they had to no doubt extend the restaurant in order to service the increasing demand. They even had an extension that was across the street from the main hub, and that's where we sat. We took our seats up on a short platform on the typical ankle-high stools placed at knee-high tables. The place was so packed that I had to slightly scooch my ass over in order for them to open the fridge behind me to get my Coke. I popped open the can and sat in to survey the movement of the city. The yelling waitresses, the steam rising from the main prep area across the street, the scissors cutting through the huge, knotted gobs of cold rice noodles, and the piping hot bowls of broth and charred pork floating on trays over honking cars and confused, wandering pedestrians. The food reached our table. As we ate, two waitresses began speaking loudly to each other, one directly behind me by the fridge, and one cutting noodles about 10 feet away. At first we didn't notice, as this kind of bullhorn yelling is common in countries where the language is tonal. To a native non-tonal speaker, one may think the people are angry as they yell in Chinese or Vietnamese, but this is often not the case. Words have a different meaning if the tones are spoken differently, so perhaps it's necessary to blast sentences in high volume in busy areas so the recipient can properly hear the nuanced pitches and tone. I would probably speak loudly too if I couldn't express my emotions by adding emphasis to words as I do while using the English language. You see, I didn't say English, I said English. The Vietnamese can't really do that. The two waitresses were speaking normally enough, but soon they began to get more passionate in their communication. The high volume turned into yells, and then into shrieks. Again, my knee-jerk reaction was that they were mad at each other about something, but remembering that this is normal, I just sat back, dipped my spring roll into the broth, and marveled at the strange world we live in. The waitress yelling by the fridge behind me stepped down the short platform we were on to get closer to the noodle waitress. The fervor of their yelling match continued to increase, and after a while, it seemed given to me that anyone sitting there, tonal speaking or non-tonal, wouldn't be able to resist this spectacle. There was no way this was normal, but a part of me still thought it was, and humor farted out of me, and I wanted to share it with the screaming couple. So I took whatever the last thing I heard the woman who was behind me yell, and then I yelled the same thing to the noodle woman, as close to the original pronunciation and volume as I could. Usually, this kind of thing acts as a comedy bridge between cultures and gets a huge laugh because 1, they're surprised at my attempt to speak their language. 2, I probably got pretty close to getting it right. And 3, whatever I say makes the party realize how they sound, and they get a perfect, healthy little dose of bashfulness to break up the mood. So when I said this, the noodle lady shot her head to me, eyes wide. A man sitting behind them down from the platform took notice of my attempt at Vietnamese and started laughing heartily. The noodle woman then whipped her head back in front of her, and she smacked the fridge lady hard in the face, yelled, and then turned around to walk away busy. The fridge lady followed her, put her hand on her own face, but was seemingly unfazed by the hard smack. My companion gasped at what I did and told me not to get involved because she thought the fridge lady had some form of Down syndrome. It took me a moment to process this, as I had not been able to see the fridge lady's face or behavior since she was either behind me or I was looking at her back when she stepped out in front of me. Gobsmacked, I looked over and saw the fridge lady crying, red in the face, clearly handicapable, and sobbing at the noodle lady. The noodle lady looked a mix between embarrassed and proud, and in between yells, she hurriedly attempted to busy herself. The still upset, smacked lady crossed the street and retreated to the restaurant headquarters. And then a man from the other side came over and was pointing at the noodle lady and scolding her in Vietnamese. I imagined him saying, "God damn it, Lang Diep! What the hell are you thinking? You know you can't slap my mentally challenged daughter. Why not? Because she's mentally challenged, you soulless serving wench." And then Lang Diep would say, "But she doesn't know what she's talking about. She just keeps telling me to do things and they make no sense. But she won't let it go and I can't focus on my work." Then he would reply, "If she wants to LARP around the place and pretend to be the boss, you let her do it. And you'll like it. You knew this is what you were getting into when you started here. You and I, we're gonna have words later, Lang Diep. This isn't over." At that point, the taste of my sliced and minced grilled pork had more stale qualities to it when I considered that my impersonation of someone whom I didn't realize had Down syndrome probably resulted in them getting slapped by, dare I say, a person with a different kind of mental challenge. But what did I repeat to the noodle lady? Whatever the fridge lady had said, it had to have cut the noodle lady to the quick, and my perfect pronunciation, volume, and comedic timing of the repetition must have reinforced the sting exponentially. But all we could do was order another round of spring rolls to dip into the leftover broth, eat it, pay, and get up to leave. When we passed by the headquarters, I could see the slapped woman on a balcony directly above. There was a small dining table near the edge of the balcony, with what seemed like her friends and family members sitting around, enjoying the bustle in the street. The slap lady was standing up and gently rocking a toddler in her arms. And in their moment of equanimity, it seemed she had forgotten the whole incident. Maybe. But when I looked over to the noodle lady on the other side of the road, she continued working with a scowl on her face, uncertain of her future. We were on our way to get Vietnamese massages and eventually more food.